Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user Throwaway255375. I, female 28, found a child's shirt in the belongings of my fiance, male 33. I'm sorry if this is long and all over the place. I met my fiance when we dated as kids in middle school. We reconnected about 2 years ago after living life separately and meshed so well that we decided to just take the jump. His family lives in Texas. We originally lived in Minnesota, with his mother not doing well, so we moved down here to be close. My fiance has a 2-bedroom that he'd purchased when he first learned of his mother's condition. This was about a year ago. At first, after we realized we wanted things long-term, he would fly back and forth every couple weeks or so until I asked him to just stay with me. He had no intention of moving back, and it was kinda a you move here or we do long-distance situation. He did not explicitly tell me that, but that is just what I gathered from our situation. After time of thinking, I quit my job and just moved to be with him. I have been here officially for 40 days. Just a bit of backstory. When looking for something in the garage last week, I found a pair of baby-sized Nike shoes. I asked him who they belonged to and he said he had no idea. I thought nothing of it at the time and just tossed them. 2 days ago, when going through the hamper to do our laundry, I found a small pink bluey t-shirt, probably the size of a 5 or 6-year-old. I immediately remembered the shoes and my mind started to race. I admit I assumed the worst, that he's hiding a kit from me, and blew up a bit. I accused him of lying to me. I started to get emotional and things of that nature, and an argument ensued after I didn't believe him when he swore he had no idea where these things are from. He is an only child, so no nieces. The only family he really talks to here are his parents. He offered no explanation other than simply insisting he has no idea. I pretty much shut down after realizing we were getting nowhere and have spoken maybe 10 words to him since then. He is not pushing me to either. Feels like I'm just here. Since yesterday, I am just filled with despair and regret about moving here, and I'm not even sure if I should be. I guess I'm just curious. How can I go about this? The mere thought of apologizing for my blow-up and trying to rectify things when he is secretly lying to me about something like that just makes my stomach churn. I don't at all hope or even want to believe that is the case. He has never given me any reason to feel like this, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. Well, OP, this is a very serious situation because at a minimum, as you said, your fiance is hiding a kid from you. Because let's take a look at our options. The first one is that he is a despicable and disgusting human being that should be in some sort of a registry, if not in jail for life, to be forgotten. The other one is that he's running some sort of underground daycare and the kids have left stuff there and he just hasn't told you. Another one would be that tiny little elves in the middle of the night come and make shoes for him but forget their t-shirts and shoes. The other one is that a ninja 5 or 6-year-old just broke into your home to plant their t-shirt in your hamper. Or maybe he's just lying through his ass and grey-rocking you. In any case, OP, this is 2 things for me. 1, you shouldn't let this go until you get to the truth. And 2, you leave him because he is a liar one way or another. And of course, if there is something to report, you do that right away. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Hats and Topcoats says, I think it makes a big difference whether his attitude is, I don't know where these things came from, you should just forget about it, versus, I don't know where these things came from, I agree it seems really weird, let's try to figure it out. GusSmith12 says, well, first of all, children's shoes and clothing don't just mysteriously appear out of nowhere, they are in his things, not dropped like garbage on the front lawn or road. If they truly were just showing up out of nowhere, you would think a man would be way more concerned about that. So many things he could be accused of in that scenario that a person simply can't come back from. So he's lying to you. Now the question is, what do you do about that? I would suggest you sit him down when you both have enough emotional resources to manage this conversation and straight out say, you need to explain what's going on here. It might be a simple thing he can easily explain when asked about it in the right moment. If he deflects or refuses to answer, then it's time to cut bait. Those are not correct responses to reasonable questions about this scenario. That tells you much about who he is and where you fit into his hierarchy. Do that before you get enmeshed so far into your new life that it becomes difficult to uproot again. If he's got a kid he hasn't told you about, seems weird he would want to hide that. If you want to be super paranoid, check recent missing kids descriptions for clothing to see if anything matches what you found. I'm sorry you have uprooted your life over him, but better to know before you get embroiled into something problematic or worse. Good luck, friend. Videcott says, does he have any friends with kids? Because the fact that he's not making a big deal of it is weird to me, to be honest. If me or my husband were to find something that is obviously not mine, not his, among belongings, we would be freaking out and trying to find out how did they end up there. This is not something he can just ignore, in my opinion. Those things didn't walk on their own to get where you found them. And Geno Flowers says, you've now found baby shoes and a shirt from a small child, maybe 5 or 6. They were in his garage and in his laundry. The laundry especially is suspect because that is constantly moving and refilling. Does he think these items just magically appeared? There's maybe 1 child or 2, and my first thought was that there's a baby mama out there who is leaving evidence for you to find. You know how some women leave earrings in the bed or underwear behind so the man's wife can find it? That's what I thought of with this. So, what is he going to do about this? What are you going to do about it? I don't know if it will work, but you can search birth records online. You might have to pay though. Sites like Ancestry and MyHeritage have birth records, and you don't have to have all the info like birth dates. Additional information from OP's comments. He seems to think I am dwelling on it, but any normal person would at the very least be curious, I think. Also, if I'd found it on our street or something, I wouldn't have reacted the way I did, and we do not go to laundromats. I do laundry at least once a week. And this is not an issue I'd be comfortable bringing up to his mother, unfortunately, and she is also not well. I don't speak with his father much, and the only socials he really uses are Facebook and TikTok. We generally have, or had, a healthy and trusting relationship, in my opinion. We were 12 and 16 when we met. I shouldn't have said dated when I was really just a girl with a crush. We met as neighbors and hung out often. You'd likely perceive that as a relationship too as a 12-year-old girl. He didn't prey on me and our relationship wasn't sexual. Just 2 kids who were close. I guess I should have clarified all this. Honestly, I was half expecting to be gaslit here. I may take some time to gather my thoughts, but I definitely do not intend to let this go away. Well, the community's in agreement. The way he reacted says all about this to keep pushing. So, now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Not sure I'm formatting this right, but just wanted to update for those still messaging me and commenting. In hindsight, it may be obvious, but please refrain from the negativity or I told you so's in the comments. Trust me, I have beaten myself up enough. Nothing can be said that I haven't thought to myself already. Now, someone here suggested I suggest getting cameras to him and gauge his reaction. Thank you so much, if reading. I lost you in the sea of comments, lol. He was very against it and jumped to the conclusion I was trying to catch him in something. A reaction that took me by surprise. After that, I said F it and went through his phone. Another popular suggestion. Something neither of us had done since knowing each other, so I'd watched him put in the code from the corner of my eye and then went through it when he slept. Found a woman he's been calling or answering calls from while he's working, maybe every other day. After my hands stopped shaking, I called from my phone and asked who she is. She asks me who I am, and I tell her I'm his fiance. She tells me she's the mother of his kids and that he's a father of 2 boys and a girl, 7, 10, and 5 years old. That they met in college and had been on and off since then, but they are currently just co-parenting, an obvious lie. She then tells me she was told about me and he'd said I was pregnant and pretty much moved here at random against his will. That I was just a crazy one-night stand while they were on break and he was just trying to co-parent. Basically playing this role of the heroic father to a fake baby, trying to do right, when in reality he's just a psychotic piece of crap. She seemed more relieved I wasn't pregnant than anything, but that is her issue. Told her about the shirt and she said her kids spent the weekend. Another lie because no one has even been here since I moved in. Didn't even seem to care he hid his own children from a woman he was going to marry. Anyway, he doesn't know, but I am leaving. I'll be using my little savings to get home and stay at a motel until I'm on my feet again. Thankfully, when I left, my boss said I was always welcome back. My flight is in 2 days. Also, probably shouldn't have, but I broke his phone too and said I accidentally spilled water on it because about an hour after I called the girl, she texted him, "Call me," and I panicked. I assume she plans to tell him that I know, even though I asked her not to. It hurts, and I've been evaluating everything this far, every conversation we've had, every little piece that hasn't added up. One thing I will say, although he never begged me to move or anything, he did have numerous conversations about the possibility, and a month before I moved here, he acted so excited and even sent me a bunch of job listings in the area. I definitely did not stalk him at all, but he clearly wants his baby mama if he's connected this whole psycho fairy tale to sell her, so I'm honestly and truly done. Just trying to remain calm and sane until I'm up and out of his life for good. This whole time, he hasn't even asked why I'm not talking to him either. Thankfully, I guess, because I wouldn't know what to say. And I know he's a garbage parasite, but that just hurts me even more. It's like I really was just nothing this whole time. Uprooted my whole life literally for nothing more than a singular month of playing wife. Now, to pick up the pieces and repair them all on my own, while his life stays unchanged and he's happy with his family. So yeah, this was probably more of a vent, but at least you guys can stop wondering. This has all happened within the last 48 hours, so I'm still collecting myself emotionally. I do appreciate all the support and advice. And to any women currently feeling like something isn't adding up, please trust your gut the first time. Ignoring it will never work out in favor of the relationship. Well, OP, that last line, I would address it to everybody who currently isn't feeling like something is adding up. But back to your situation, good for you. You found out what was going on, and you don't even need to talk to him about it. You know you need to leave, and you're going in 2 days. Of course, this absolutely sucks, OP, but do not be deterred. You took a shot, and you shouldn't beat yourself up for taking a shot. So here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Thanks so much for sharing, and take care. And now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user UnfairDependent9508. Am I the a-hole for not directly telling my sister I had a baby? I'm 26 female and recently had my first baby. My sister is 35 female and we've never really had a great relationship despite being close. She's always been controlling and judgmental. She also never really liked my husband. She never said it out loud, but I know it's because he's black. She once implied that he would end up leaving me because of that. She also expected him to reach out to her and talk to her even though she never made an effort herself. Basically, overall unsupportive and didn't really believe we would last. Eventually, I still brought him to meet my family and he was respectful. When I finally told her I was pregnant at 7 months, she told me she didn't really love or care about me the way she used to. Before that, she told me to pack up my things from my parents' house because Dad's going to make you. Even though my dad already knew and wasn't upset about it. Then, she outed my pregnancy to my mom even though I asked her not to. My mom already knew but was pretending not to, and it honestly felt like my sister was trying to stir something up so my parents would be mad at me. Still, the next day, I tried texting her and she never responded or checked in on me through my entire pregnancy. When my water broke prematurely, my mom and grandma told me to reach out to my sister while I was in the hospital, but I didn't. After my son was born, my mom said my sister and her husband came by to see me, but they never told anyone or texted me. By the time my husband and I got back to my parents' house, they were gone. Months later, I called and texted her asking if she wanted to meet my son, and she never replied. Then I found out through my mom that she had a baby too. I didn't even know she was pregnant. A few days later, she texted me saying, "My baby boy was born yesterday. He is doing well. I had a recovery ahead of me. As part of this family, I owed telling you myself." That message rubbed me the wrong way. It felt like a passive-aggressive comment because I never told her directly when my son was born. But after the way she treated me, why would I? She made it clear she didn't care when it mattered most. Now some family members think I should have told her anyway because she's still your sister, but I honestly don't see why. She's been cold and distant for months. I don't owe her emotional closeness anymore. I did feel bad at one point because she was trying for a baby before I had gotten pregnant and was struggling but going through IVF. I also miss the relationship we had, but feel like she's just not a good person to me. So am I the a-hole for not directly telling my sister I had a baby? No, OP, you're not the a-hole. The fact is that it doesn't really matter what she was like when you were kids or how close you guys were. It's how she is treating you today. And it sounds to me that she's treating you like some half-stranger, someone she doesn't really want to have a relationship with. And all these people telling you that you should be the one to reach out, just ask them, why hasn't she done it? Why aren't you telling her to do it? So no, OP, not the a-hole, and honestly, I'd just keep living my life without thinking about her. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Funny Technician 320 says, blood isn't always family. You owe no one anything, especially when they can't be bothered contacting you. White Alternative 894 says, not the a-hole here. She actively tried to stir up drama with your parents while you were pregnant, which could have ended with you getting kicked out if it had actually worked. And Le Frère Chéri says, not the a-hole. Your sister doesn't like your husband because he's black. She has not made any effort to meet your child, probably because he's black. Your sister is a racist. She'll probably raise her child to be the same. You owe her nothing. You have enough on your plate as a new mother. Focus on loving your child and raising to be resilient and strong. Focus on putting strong boundaries around your created family. All the people telling you to reach out to your sister should be telling her to start acting like a decent human being, apologize for, and change her racist behavior. OP's edit. For some more context, I had already moved out of my parents' house before becoming pregnant and before getting married with my husband. It was only my prior belongings that were still at my parents'. I always wanted to be an aunt to her child and feel bad that she doesn't feel the same way. My mom still keeps pressuring me to reach out because I'm younger and she just wants her only 2 daughters to get along. So I kind of understand her but feel bad that she's only pressuring me and not her. I also told my parents to give her extra diapers that I had instead of donating them, so I'm okay with being cordial, but I don't think we can have a personal relationship ever again. I would like our children to be close as they are cousins and only months apart. I think the worst part was that she told me she didn't care for me and love me anymore while we both were pregnant. It was only I who had disclosed it though. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and good riddance to the sister. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I responded to her message saying, congratulations on your baby boy. My son was born premature, so I know how hard pregnancy and recovery can be. Your comments when I told you I was pregnant pushed me into a deeper depression. Pregnancy was already hard enough without that. As part of this family, after a hurtful comment like that, I would have expected you to reach out on your own directly. If I had known you were pregnant, I would have checked in. Postpartum is no joke, and things like that only make it harder. Take care of yourself. She replied saying, thank you. Of course, congratulations are due to you as well. However, circumstances were such that I could not convey this to you sooner. Going forward for the future for the kids, it's best to move forward. There is no need to rehash anything. This was 1 week after I had sent my message. I just responded, thanks for the congratulations. No matter the circumstances, common courtesy as a sibling should have been there. Anyways, I'll raise my son and you raise yours, and our lives can remain separate. If we cross paths at family events, we can keep it cordial. That's all I have to give. That's the end of it. She never responded, and I don't plan on reaching out again. Well, P, at least now you're absolutely sure that your sister is a complete jackass. Also, I wouldn't have responded to her message. I probably would have just reacted with a thumbs up. That would have gotten under her skin. But that's just me again being petty. Anyways, OP, here's wishing you, your husband, and your child the best in the future. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a quick mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user GoldOw2025. No more drugs in the workplace? Okay. My pet peeve is poorly written policy. If you are going to go to the effort of writing the rules, you may as well do it properly and not get the intern to do it. My wife came home one day and showed a printout of her company's new workplace fitness for work policy that had been sent to all employees to sign and return. My wife, being my wife, decided to run it past me before she signed because I am, well, me. It was mostly an amateurish document that was ultimately a waste of ink and trees, but did have a little bit to say about drugs in the workplace, which was essentially do not come to the work under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and do not bring drugs or alcohol to work. I told her not to sign until they at the very least defined what drugs were. Were they including Tylenol, antibiotics, Ritalin, or just the illegal ones and recreational pharmaceuticals? Fast forward a couple of days, version 2.0 of the document is presented. They fleshed out the drugs policy a little, basically using the dictionary definition, something along the lines of a non-prescription substance which has a psychological or mood-altering effect when ingested or otherwise introduced into the body. Okay, time for malicious compliance. She signed and presented it to HR the next day and went about her work. During the morning, there were increasing amounts of confusion and frustrated loud voices in the office. Apparently, it only took an hour before zero work was being done and there was a crowd of workers around the break room. The manager eventually zeroed in on my wife, apparently the only one who wasn't looking confused, and asked if